What is going on, guys? I'm still on my end doing some stuff. We were gonna do the Q2 earnings for Tesla today, so I basically wanted to do those live with you guys. This might be kind of a little bit of a boring video. If you want to see like more videos where I go more in depth on things, then subscribe to the channel and everything like that. But today I'm basically gonna I'm gonna watch the earnings, and I figured I might as well do it live and react. In the meantime, earnings starts in I think like 10 minutes or so. So in the meantime, I'm gonna jump on Brighter with Herbert, his YouTube channel, and basically just sit with them guys while they're doing their podcast or whatever. And if they have the Q2 live on their channel, I'll just stay there on their channel. If not, then I'll jump over to a different Q2 live. Share screen. Share. Okay, what's the StreamYard? Okay, that's the StreamYard playback. By the way, this QR code that's up here might actually go to like one of my other businesses. I haven't been using StreamYard that much lately. We used to do all of our Elite Automation manufacturing come up podcasts on that. I think that's what that QR code's for, or it takes you to the Elite Automation website. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start playing Herbert's video with all these guys. They have some good things to say. These are some guys that I follow, so if you're not already following them, they're also a good source to follow.
Damn it! You should have told me ahead of
Herbert
time.
is not ready. Sir,
I'm not ready.
Put it on the union list. I'm so done with Herbert. We're just joking, but actually we're not, right?
Herbert should know by now that when he sees me that there's going to be something in his inbox.
He should know many things. It's just
I don't know.
Producer Herbert.
Yeah. I'm busy. Gosh.
Oh, excuse us.
You're busy trying to make fun of every panelist.
Join your thing, though. You gotta help out the community, Other people that are investing their time into making
okay, we gotta go through it quick, dude, because
yep, it's quick.
Because the earnings call never starts late.
He's already complaining. He doesn't even have the thoughts yet. He's already complaining.
Okay, can you guys hear the audio?
Sir, are you coming to the X takeover this weekend?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh, that's a shame. We could have signed the union.
Letter.
Maybe
I'll be there.
I'll be not part of that. You're not part of it, dude. All right.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So real quick,
can anybody hear the
audio?
For
those that care about margins, I want to satisfy your need to scratch that itch.
I'm gonna remove that, and then I'm going to try to add it back.
Net profit margins went up.
Stop screen. Video file. Screen. I just shared a Chrome tab last time. I might have to do just like a. We'll pause this. Again, we're here for the Q2 earnings. Stay tuned, everybody, and they will start here shortly. We have roughly about 7 minutes, and then we have Tesla time, which means it'll probably be like 17 or 27 minutes. I'm going to try this and see if I can get audio to play through. Also, if anybody could advise if there's like audio echoing or any audio issues on that end, just let me know and I'll try to share in a different way.
4 quarters ago?
Yeah, so we're 15% and market expected 14.5%. So that was really better.
Yep. Next chart, profitability or gross margins in the different lines of business. Energy, 30%. Autos ticking up. Service and other.
Also, in the meantime, guys, I'll kind of react on some of these different things that they are sharing up and basically just give my 2 cents on some of the things. Else, like, they're going to probably share some pretty good data. That's why I really like these guys. They, compile some data together, and each one of them kind of has the thing that they're good at. So, it's pretty exciting. This actually has like a bunch of them that pretty much, I would say they hardly ever get together, as many of them that are here right now.
Picking up. Everything's headed in the upward direction for once.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great. Average selling prices. This surprised me. ASPs went up quite a bit in autos. I think $1,800. And the costs, pretty flat.
And that's despite the high-end mix being down. Must
Yeah.
be the new Model Y being more expensive.
And so that
Yes, we
translates.
had
But it-
obviously the launch model.
But the launch model ended this.
All right, guys. I don't know. Sorry. I mean, everybody looks like they had left, but I don't know why my computer just like literally just shut down out of nowhere. No warning, no nothing. So yeah, jumping back into this thing.
Yeah, but
Early
this is
Discord.
about
You control it, Alexander. You control it.
you got to be kidding.
Yeah, no.
Do you think if I control it, I wouldn't put myself in the center?
Yeah, you
Come
should
on,
put yourself.
don't you know me?
You should. Put yourself in the center.
And a reminder with that, when the call ends, we will still be here to discuss what we have just learned.
Yeah.
And if you haven't already, hit the thumbs up because it helps people find this
Brian?
video.
Are you already in San Francisco?
I am. I'm in Rohnert Park right now.
I just think that we should tell the chat a couple of things. Farzad is not here because he's driving up at the moment. Brian is in a hotel room. I mean, we really try to make this all, doable for all of us. And people criticizing that you hold your mic in the hand. Well,
Yeah.
we're doing this in any circumstance.
I
You
must,
did it out of China the other day. I loved it.
Yeah. Well, I don't. I'm not going to pack a mic stand. I can afford a mic stand. I'm just on the road, and I'm not going to pack it.
Okay, guys,
Herbert,
you can
still
hear
don't
the
hear
music, right?
No.
Negative. No, sir.
Tell me what I'm doing wrong, guys.
There's a setting in Stream. I'm looking for the StreamYard setting.
By the way, Søren, back to your charts while there is fixing the technical thing. One of the things that stood out to me, having a big hit on the actual numbers, was the regulatory credits falling from 890 million to 439 million, which you showed as well. Without that, net of the results were really good. And of course, the Bitcoin gain had a little bit of an impact in the services revenue gain. Is there anything else that really stood out to you on a big number piece that Wall Street might be overlooking?
Well, the thing that stands out to me is the fact that they're investing so much in R&D and growing that aggressively. If they weren't doing that, the current earnings of the company would be a lot higher. In fact, more than double this quarter.
Music.
Yes, we hear it.
All right.
Right.
Thanks, Søren.
So the fact the company's investing so heavily, they've actually penalized their short-term results. But that's exactly what you want to see from a company is them.
Exactly. Now,
Okay, you guys can hear it?
Can you guys hear the audio from the YouTube?
Off the music.
Yes.
I
Let's
can
not
lower it a little bit.
demonetize.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Yeah. Okay. I have to turn it off now.
Just turn on the volume.
Yeah, just so that we don't all get copyright strikes.
Right.
How it is that events have yet to figure out that copyright music makes a lot of their events unshareable is beyond me. I tell every event that I work with to do your best to limit it, or at least turn it down so it's not earth-shatteringly loud at your event, and they always go, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Søren, there was another question that we had at the very start, and that was, what do you reckon the tipping point is for robotaxis? Is it 200 running at the same time? Is it 360?
All right, I'm going to rewind this for a second. I'm watching on my phone for the earnings to go live. I just kind of want to go back into some of the reports and stuff they were going through a little bit ago. I should have jumped in here a little bit earlier to join in on this.
Oh,
They're making an error. They saw the same line. They saw the press release on the same line as July 23. I think they just made a mistake. So I think the magic moment is not going to be any of the ones mentioned to date. I think it's going to be when the safety driver gets taken out of the car. I think once the safety driver is out of the car, I think all the rest just fall away. I think it'll become very clear the opportunity for the rate of expansion to become, very rapid.
By the way, what they're kind of discussing right there is they're discussing basically like the stock price of Tesla just like shooting up once they take the safety riders out. One thing to definitely consider is like the longer things start to they keep happening with Tesla and the price doesn't go up, that creates more of a gap for when things start to go up. It's more likely to become like parabolic. Like let's say, for instance, if they were to go up today, for example, let's say they have already built in like $30 per share. Okay. So just because of earnings and because of the past things that have happened, such as they launched the robotaxi in Austin, Texas. They have then expanded the geofence area. So those are just a couple things that they've already done. But just launching in Austin, Texas was already massive. And then they turned around and they launched in Austin, Texas with a bigger geofence. And they kind of just played around and did a funny meme geofence. So that just kind of showed off a little bit of their capabilities and like how they can control like what the map shape and size is and stuff like that. So again, I saw the more things that keep happening, like, AKA they expand the geofence again, they go to another city, they remove the safety riders. Any of these things that they do are going to create a delta. If the price does not go up whenever something like that occurs, it's going to create a delta so that whenever the market finally understands what's going on, there's going to be such a huge jump in Tesla stock. I mean, you could have something where it goes from where it's 330 now to 420, 460. We could hit 500 if that delta becomes big enough. Meaning that, like, let's say for instance they launch in LA and San Francisco and maybe like Miami or something like that, and then the stock price still hasn't shifted. That's where like literally overnight, within a week, the stock could shoot up at that price. So we're kind of in this questionable period of like, when is it going to happen? It's definitively going to happen because the market will have to realize the potential earnings of robotaxi. So you can already model in and do the math of how much earnings Tesla will make from robotaxi, and it's so substantial that it's literally 10 times what Tesla's already doing in business right now. So the market just has to realize that for us to see a change in the stock price. But whenever we do see that change, I can already tell you now, whenever they do a big move, we're looking at potentially going 20, 30+% in literally just days. And this earnings call could be that trigger. There needs to be a particular trigger that is the one that makes people say, oh, so like if Elon says some things in this earnings call, or any other board members or anything like that, that is highly substantial, that really like calls out and maybe lays out some projections for robotaxi, could then make this earnings call a trigger for the upside. I also have like one like small thought in my mind that Tesla's actually holding out, or Elon's holding out on the stock popping off. So he's not really trying to hype it up that much until like he gets his pay compensation. I don't know how his pay compensation would be tied to current stock price. So I don't know if it's mentioned that he's already getting like 100 shares. I'm just saying 100 shares, right? It's probably way more than that. It's definitely way more than that. If he's getting 100 shares, or if he's getting X dollars worth of shares, right? So if he's getting just X shares, then it really doesn't matter what the stock price is. But if he's getting X dollars, then that does matter, because if he wants to take some of those dollars and buy more Tesla shares, he's going to be buying at a higher price, and he'd prefer the stock not shoot up in price before he has to buy. I'm gonna jump back into this one.
So I think that's what we look for. And as far as, supervision one-on-one, we don't know that currently supervision is one-on-one. We really don't know that. We're assuming that. I don't think it is. I think we have a couple of people watching multiple screens. But I think that we'll not ever see the rate of supervision.
Earnings call started
from the operator.
Safety in different geographic areas. We will loosen up on how much somebody has to be laser focused, to have their eyes laser focused on the road. That's been a common complaint. In fact, it does create an odd safety issue where people will sometimes disengage autopilot, then do something, change the radio, or maybe look at the phone, drive with their knee, and then re-engage autopilot, which obviously is less safe than simply keeping autopilot on.
I do the same thing. I have to disengage when I'm trying to put something in the map.
Get that
because if not, you'll get canceled. This is ridiculous.
In the next several weeks, because of our focus on Austin with no one in the driver's seat, the production release of autopilot is actually several months behind what people experience on a robotaxi in Austin. So now we have the robotaxi in Austin launched. We'll be adding back those elements so that there will be a step change improvement in the autopilot experience for people outside of Austin. This is really, as you can tell, this is very much sort of autonomy is the story. Like we need the physical product, without which you cannot have autonomy. But once you have the physical product, you need the autonomy is what amplifies the value to stratospheric levels. We also launched the Tesla Dyna, which has been a huge hit. It actually got worldwide attention, which is unusual for a Dyna. Dynas don't typically get headline news around Earth. But this is a pretty special Dyna, and if you're in the LA area, it's worth visiting. It's sort of a shining beacon of hope in an otherwise sort of bleak urban landscape, frankly. So it's really quite a lovely experience. Great job by the Tesla team there.
Yeah, the Dyna has the advantage of making money while
on the full self-driving front. Continue talking about that. We're continuing to make significant improvements just with the software. So we're expecting to increase the parameter count. Actually, at this point, I think we can probably almost 10x the parameter. Yeah, roughly 10x the parameter count. So this is actually a very tricky thing to do, because as you increase the parameter count, you get choked on memory bandwidth.
Does anybody know what a parameter count is exactly?
We currently think we can 10x the parameter count from what people are currently experiencing. So not just a 4x, actually 10x increase in parameter count. Yeah, so there's still a lot of improvement on the existing hardware to happen. Energy is growing really well, despite headwinds from tariffs and spare supply chain challenges. The Megapack is expanding capacity quickly, and we have upgrades to the Megapack that will make it even better. And we had record Powerwall deployments again in Q2. So I think batteries are just going to be a massive thing. The scale of battery demand is, I think, not that many people appreciate just how gigantic the scale of battery demand is. The way to think about it is that the U.S. sustained power output for the U.S. grid is around 1 terawatt, but average usage is less than half a terawatt. If you add batteries to the mix, you can run the power plants 24/7 at full capacity.
By the way, energy, AI, humanoids, autonomous vehicles, these are the future. These are like the number one things to be invested in. There's going to be a huge gap in that over the next decade to even multi-decades, just as this race continues on and things become more powerful.
Thus more than doubling, the energy output per year of the United States, just with batteries. But that's again, big deal. It's a really big deal. Optimus. So we're evolving the Optimus design and really getting Optimus to the point where it is a phenomenal design. So we're in Optimus version 2 right now, sort of 2.5. Optimus 3 is an exquisite design, in my opinion, and will be an incredible, as I've said many times before, predictive. It will be the biggest product ever. It's a very hard problem to solve. You have to design every part of it from physics first principles. There's nothing that's off the shelf that actually works. So you're going to design every motor, gearbox, power electronics, control electronics, sensors, the mechanical elements. We've also got to train Optimus to use its lens and its sensors with a neural net. But we'll be applying the same techniques that we applied for a car, which is essentially a four-wheeled robot, and Optimus is a robot with arms and legs. So the same principles that apply to optimizing AI inference on the car apply to Optimus.
The humanoid is much more complicated than the car. The car moves on a flat plane.
And Tesla, it is important to note that Tesla is by far the best in the world at real-world AI. Like a clear proof point for that would be if you compare, say, Tesla to Waymo. Waymo's got, the car is festooned with God knows how many sensors. And yet, isn't Google good at AI? Yes, but they're not good at real-world AI. Thus far, Tesla is actually much better than Google by far, and much better than anyone at real-world AI. And by far, Tesla has the best inference efficiency. I think a key figure of merit for AI is what is the intelligence per gigabyte? And people talk about parameters, blah blah blah. But I think we'll stop talking about parameters and talk about gigabytes, because with the parameters you can have 4-bit parameters, 8-bit parameters, 16-bit parameters, but the actual constraints in the hardware are how many gigabytes of RAM and how many gigabytes per second can you transfer from RAM. Therefore, it is not a parameter constraint. It is a byte constraint. And Tesla has the highest intelligence density of any AI by far. And I have a lot of insight into this with xAI. xAI is, Grok is the smartest AI overall, but it's Grok 4 is a giant beast. Sort of at the terabyte level. So it's kind of important to note Tesla has the best intelligence density. And intelligence density will be a very big deal in the future. It is now. So with Optimus 3, which is really the right design, it's like it doesn't have, at this point, there's no significant flaws with the Optimus 3 design. But we are going to retool a bunch of things, so it'll probably be prototypes of Optimus 3 into this year, and then scale production next year. I'm going to try to scale Optimus production as fast as it's humanly possible to do so, and try to get to 1 million units a year as quickly as possible. We think we can get there in less than 5 years. That's my estimate, I guess. That's a reasonable aspiration, is 1 million units a year. 5 years. It seems like an achievable target. But in conclusion, so far 2025 has been a very exciting year. A lot of major milestones. We've made clear, demonstrable progress in autonomy that a lot of naysayers said we would not achieve. But it's worth noting that we have done what we said we were going to do. Doesn't mean we're always on time, but we get it done. And our naysayers are sitting there with egg on their face. So great progress by the Tesla team.
FSD's got substantially better this past year.
Yeah, I do think if Tesla continues to execute well with vehicle autonomy and humanoid robot autonomy, it will be the most valuable company in the world. It's a lot of execution between here and there. It doesn't just happen. But provided we execute very well, I think Tesla has a shot at being the most valuable company in the world.
The AI is the #1 thing for humanoid robot. They have to get that AI to function.
Obviously, I'm
well.
extremely optimistic about the future of the company. Best way to predict the future is to make it happen, and we're making it happen here with the Tesla team. So I'd just like to say thanks to all of our supporters, and I think we've got an incredibly exciting future.
Great. Thank you very much, Elon. And Deadlock has opening remarks as well.
Travis, as Elon mentioned, Q2 was an interesting quarter in a few respects. We started ramping up the production of the new Model Y at all our factories. We rolled out our robotaxi service in Austin and delivered a car completely autonomously directly from the factory to the customer's home. It is a seminal point to get to this thing. I mean, it took a lot of effort, and I really want to thank everybody at Tesla to make this happen. It wasn't an easy thing to do, but we did it. It took time, but we've just begun the next phase for the company. The One Big Bill has a lot of changes that would affect our business in the near term. The first among those changes is the repeal of the IRA EV credit of $7,500 by the end of this quarter. Given the abrupt change, we have limited supply of vehicles in the US this quarter, as we are already within lead times to order parts to build cars. We've rolled out all our planned incentives already, and we'll start paring them back as we start to sell. If you're in the US and looking to buy a car, place your order now, as we may not be able to guarantee delivery for orders placed in the later part of August and beyond. The bill also made changes to certain emission standards by reducing the amount of penalty to zero. This in turn will have an impact on the new sales of regulatory credits to other OEMs, and in turn will lead to lower revenues. While we never plan our business around such sales, it will nonetheless impact our total revenues going forward. On the automotive product portfolio, the entire lineup is updated. Globally, we're seeing an increase in the number of test drives. We started the production of the lower cost model as planned in the first half of 25. However, given our focus on building and delivering as many vehicles as possible in the US before the EV credit expires, and the additional complexity of ramping a new product, the ramp will happen next quarter, slower than initially expected. One thing which is grossly underappreciated and
extremely
not
good.
talked about it is that all our vehicles.
So they recommitted to a lower cost vehicle, which is one of the biggest things that a lot of the automotive investors want to see. I mean, even individuals like myself, just a lot of investors want to see that lower end model vehicle come to market, because that's going to address a huge amount of people. As you can see, like the Model Y has now became the best selling vehicle for Tesla, and that the new model vehicle will do much better than even the Model Y, just due to the fact that it's a lower income vehicle, right? A lot more people, like every like $5,000 you drop a vehicle, it opens up like an 80% more market share of a vehicle. So even something like RAV4, which is competitive to the Model Y as far as their number of sales and the number one selling vehicles in the world. If, like, say for instance, you have something that's Model Y-ish, it's highly plausible that a lower cost version of something similar to that, even a lower cost version of the Model 3, will do extremely well in the market. So that alone right there, just recommitting the fact that in Q3 they might have this other vehicle out, is going to be a huge deal for the stock price.
In the lineup are capable of autonomy. This is by far the biggest differentiator between us and the competition.
Feel free to drop any questions.
Our vehicles top safety standard as is, but with FSD, they are and will continue to set a new standard for safety within vehicular transportation. We published our vehicle safety report earlier today, and you can see a car on FSD is 10x safer than the car not on FSD. We've started seeing an uptick in FSD adoption in North America in recent months, which is a very promising trend. And just to give you perspective, since the launch of, since we moved to version 12 of FSD, we've seen the adoption rates really increase. We've started seeing on the automotive revenue front, despite reduction in regulatory credit revenue, and the total automotive revenue increased by 19% sequentially, even though total deliveries only improved 14%. This was primarily due to an improved ASPs because of the new Model Y. This helped in improving margins sequentially as well, along with improved mix and higher fixed cost absorption, despite an increase in cost from tariffs. We started seeing the impact of tariffs in our P&L. Sequentially, the cost of tariffs increased around $300 million, with approximately 2/3 of that impact in automotive and rest in energy. However, given the latency in manufacturing and sales, the full impacts will come through in the following quarters, and so costs will increase in the near term. While we're doing our best to manage these impacts, we are in an unpredictable environment on the tariff front. The margins for the energy generation and storage businesses improved sequentially, while deployment reduced, primarily due to the ramp of power deployments at high margins. We were able to achieve our highest gross profit for the business yet. Note that the overall deployments will continue to vary quarter to quarter. I think Elon covered this, that industrial storage will make a difference in this drive towards AI and data center growth. The energy requirements are increasing at a rapid scale as AI applications are very energy hungry. The quickest path to scale up energy is deploying storage. This is something that our customers have started realizing, and despite this business having the largest impacts from tariffs, we're seeing customers willing to accept some of the tariff impacts. The big bill has certain adverse impacts even for the energy business, most notably on the residential storage business due to the early expiration of consumer credits by the end of this year. The challenges of the storage business therefore remain both from the bill and from tariffs, and we're doing our best to try and manage through this, but we will see shifts in demand and profitability. The margins for our service and other businesses improved sequentially, primarily due to higher profits from supercharging and improvement in insurance and service center profitability. Operating expenses also grew sequentially as we continued our investment in AI projects, including additional expenses related to employee-related costs, including higher stock-based compensation and depreciation for AI compute. Our operating expenses, especially R&D related spend, will continue to grow. We believe even in the current environment, it is the right strategy to keep making investments in these areas to position us for the long term. Other income grew sequentially, primarily from the mark-to-market adjustment on Bitcoin holdings, which was $284 million gain in Q2, while being $125 million loss in Q1. Just want to remind people that this would keep creating volatility based on the Bitcoin price. While operating cash flows increased sequentially, so did our CapEx, resulting in $146 million of free cash flow. We continue to make investments in various aspects of manufacturing, like the Cybercab, semi-lines, and other manufacturing spend, and the expansion of our AI initiatives. Our latest expectation for the year in terms of CapEx is in excess of $9 billion. To summarize, we have near-term challenges in our business due to the negative impacts of the bill and tariffs. However, the investments that we have made for AI, robotics, and our lead in energy sets us up for a bright future. I would like to thank the whole Tesla team, our customers, our investors, and supporters for their continued belief in us.
Great. Thank you very much, Vaibhav. So now we're going to move on to say.com questions. The first question is, can you give us some insight how robotaxis have been performing so far, and what rate you expect to expand in terms of vehicles, geofence, cities, and supervisors?
Yeah, robotaxi has been doing great so far in Austin. Customers really love the experience. It's like super smooth, very safe, and like just a great experience overall. And we already did the first wave of expansion in Austin, and we'll continue to expand in Austin to probably more than 10x our current operating region. We're also testing in a lot of other cities, as Elon mentioned. The next thing to expand would be in the San Francisco Bay Area. We are working with the government to get approval here, and in the meanwhile, launch the service with the person in the driver's seat just to expedite, and while we wait for regulatory approval. We're also testing a lot of other cities in the US, including Florida, Nevada, etc.
So, by the way, that was huge right there. He says we're going to 10x Austin, which is incredible because it's like, again, Waymo just reached where they were at literally like last week. And they were at the same geofence area for like quite some time now. The only reason that Waymo increased their geofence area is because Tesla increased their geofence area. Now, we've seen that, Tesla is already mapping and verifying areas outside of Austin, Texas, and some of the other smaller surrounding cities. So that's a really big deal. Now, the big question and the thing that he did not answer is the time frame in which that happens. So the fact that they're going to go 10x in Austin is very, very good, very bullish. The big issue is he did not specify any time frame to it.
Great. Thank you very much, Ashok. The next question is, what are the key technical and regulatory hurdles still remaining for unsupervised FSD to be available for personal use? Can you provide a timeline?
We're certainly getting there. I think it'll be available for unsupervised personal use by the end of this year in certain geographies. We're just being very careful about it. So.
This is not something which we want to rush.
No.
We want to make sure that everything is safe before we make it available broadly.
Yeah, we're just being extremely paranoid.
Yes.
But I'm confident that by the end of this year, within a number of cities in the U.S., it'll be available to end users.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, the same AI hardware in the Austin robotaxi vehicles as some customer vehicles, and
Right.
we did deliver a car autonomously from the factory to a customer this quarter.
Yes.
And every Tesla manufactured in the US and in Europe autonomously drives itself from the end of line to the loading docks. And so it's just a software upgrade away.
Yeah. I think we'll end up delivering cars in the Greater Boston area and the Bay Area by default from the factory by the end of this year. Like a car will deliver itself to where you are, unless you say you don't want that.
It'll be super cool.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, guys. The next question is, what specific factory tasks is Optimus currently performing, and what is the expected timeline for scaling production to enable external sales? How does Tesla envision Optimus contributing to revenue in the next 2 to 3 years?
Yeah. So the Optimus 3 design, as I mentioned earlier, is I think finally the right design. There'll be further optimizations, but there are no fundamental changes that are needed for the Optimus 3 design. It has all the degrees of freedom that you really want or need. So we'll have prototypes of that in, I don't know, 3 or 3 months, and then start tooling in production. We'll certainly start production on that in the beginning of next year. The production ramp is difficult. It's always difficult to predict the S-curve of a production ramp when something has got when everything is new, because the rate of production will move as fast as the least lucky and least competent element of the entire supply chain, as well as in internal processes. So the more new stuff that is in a product, the slower the ramp could be because of unexpected supply chain interruptions or mistakes made internally. It's much easier to predict sort of the end of the S-curve or late in the S-curve than the beginning of the S-curve. And the beginning of the S-curve of the production ramp is in any case not really material for revenue purposes. The beginning of the S-curve,
by the way, I don't think Tesla's anywhere near doing anything with Optimus. I think it's still in the lab. I don't think they have it really on the shop floor doing any type of work at all. Again, they did the demos and stuff that we've seen demo videos for, back a few months ago. But again, it's completely demo. It's reiteration on the design to get something that maybe's mass production. But really, they have to get the AI working before they even really worry about mass production. I'm not even worried about production whatsoever. I'm worried about the AI model being able to tangibly do something. And for example, we've seen an Optimus in the diner. Well, they carried the Optimus in the diner on a dolly, basically. And so the Optimus was hanging from the dolly. And so that just shows, like, AI-wise, it's not even nowhere near close enough. It should have walked itself into the diner, even if it was teleoperated. But if it's teleoperated, then we're back to basically square one, where the AI itself is nowhere yet, right? So that's one thing that I'm kind of being bearish on right now. Like, I'm a bull on Tesla, and I believe in Tesla's future. The issue is like some of these things I think are much further out than like what people are anticipating. I don't think it's gonna be a 2-3 year thing. I think, we're looking at 3 to 5 years before it's actually being sold to the mass population.
Not usually. You're always negative gross margin, and you're debugging a lot of issues. So that's why, like, I feel like fairly confident in predicting things, or at least medium confident in predicting where we are in 5 years, but it's hard to predict where we are in a year or 2 years. So that's why I think 5 years. I think we could be at the. Let me put this way: I'd be surprised if at the end of 5 years, 60 months from now, if we are not roughly making 100,000 Optimus robots a month in 60 months, I would be shocked.
All right. Thank you very much. Next question is, can you provide an update on the development and production timeline for Tesla's more affordable models? How will these models balance cost reduction and profitability, and what impact do you expect on demand in the current economic climate?
Well, I think Vaibhav did a good job of answering this question in his opening remarks. As we said, we started production in June, and we're ramping quality builds and things around the quarter. And given that we started in North America, and that our goal is to maximize production with a higher rate clip ending Q3, we're going to keep pushing hard on our current models to avoid complexity. Then, fortunately, when that rolls away, we'll be ready with the new, more affordable models available for everyone in Q4. And the goal of those products was not to negatively impact revenue or gross margin, but just to make a car that everyone loves and wants at a more affordable price.
Great, thank you, Lars. The next question is, can you talk about the benefits of Tesla investing in XAI?
This is not the forum to discuss this topic. I mean, if there is something which we need to discuss, we'll discuss it separately.
I think obviously, we're a publicly traded company. Shareholders are welcome to put forward any shareholder proposals that they'd like. I've recently encouraged that, and then have shareholders vote, and we'll act in accordance with the shareholder wishes.
Great, thank you very much. The next question is, can you tell us a little bit more about what goes on in the Tesla design studio?
Do you want me to take that one? We kind of generally say that what happens in the studio stays in the studio, and that earnings calls are not the place to disclose new product stuff. But we're working to make sure that we have an exciting future for our Tesla in the product lineup.
Yeah, there's a lot of exciting things happening in the design studio. It's not like static. And really, what's going to happen over the next several years is a fundamental transformation of the company from a pre-autonomy world to a post-autonomy. And
I think I know what I think I got some. I think
on a new master plan to articulate.
This is one of the big things that I kind of discussed on in some of the other videos that I made. But I think that Tesla really needs to do delivery services where you have like a vehicle that has like hot and cold storage built into it, and it basically goes to a McDonald's and picks up. Same thing like a DoorDash and stuff like that. That's a whole other sector outside of robotaxi. Robotaxi is kind of really tailored towards humans, and that's really all that's been discussed about. But food delivery has become huge since like COVID. So, I mean, there's just like a huge addressable market, and it's not even just food services. I mean, like we have our groceries delivered. There's like commercial needs where like, I need to deliver something and I need, especially like think about like expedited order. You need to expedite a package and think about how much some of those orders cost. It's $250, $500 to ship a small package sometimes if you need it like overnighted. And that's something that could even be faster almost than air transport in some cases, where if I could order a vehicle now, put the package in the vehicle, have the thing sent. But I think those are going to be custom built vehicles for that. And thinking about the whole scope of autonomy, what all other things kind of go along with that autonomy narrative.
Articulate that Tesla team, and there will be some teething pains as you transition from pre-autonomy to a post-autonomy world, but I think the future vision for Tesla is incredibly exciting, and will profoundly change the world in a good way. So it's not like sort of hype or whatever, but I think let's just say if we execute on that plan effectively, which is you have to actually do that, Tesla will be the most valuable company in the world by far.
Great, thank you. The next question is actually a duplicate on unsupervised FSD for customer vehicles, so we'll skip that. After that is, are there any news for Hardware 3 users getting retrofits or upgrades? Will they get Hardware 4 or some future version of Hardware 5?
I mean, what we want to do is we want to get unsupervised done on Hardware 4 first. Once it's done, then we'll go back and look at what we need to do with the Hardware 3 cars. I mean, like I said, the focus is first to get unsupervised out, and then we'll go back and see what more work we need to do.
Great. The next question is, can you give an update on Doge
By the way, so like the hardware 3 thing, basically hardware 3 is like less capable than hardware 4. And they're basically saying like as of right now, hardware 3 is not going to be capable of some of the things that hardware 4 can do. Honestly, like as a business, they kind of have to prolong that as much as they can, because after somebody sells their Tesla to somebody else, I don't think they really carry that same commitment that that hardware level vehicle needs to be upgraded. Also, if they didn't buy FSD outright, I don't know that they're necessarily obligated to pay for the upgrade of hardware 3 to hardware 4 or 5 or whatever they decide to do.
Dojo, and could XAI be a customer for Dojo?
Dojo 2, we expect to have Dojo 2 operating at scale sometime next year, with scale being somewhere around 100K H100 equivalents.
By the way, Dojo 2 is extremely important. I honestly think that there's sandbagging on this because I think Dojo 2 is actually kind of a competitor to NVIDIA. And so they just got to keep that under wraps because, you know, obviously like NVIDIA is one of their biggest suppliers. And so they just can't disrupt that supply chain there if, you know, NVIDIA were to come to find out that, you know, Tesla is essentially building a competitor chip. And I think it's going to actually perform better than what NVIDIA does because this is a custom chip for the specific application. So anything like automotive related, I think it will do extremely well. I think they're also planning on using the Dojo 2 in the Optimus robot as well, or training the Optimus robot. So, you know, with that being said, I think they're sandbagging the Dojo, and I think it's going to become a much bigger piece of the pie that people just don't even consider yet.
And then AI5, which is really a spectacular chip. I don't use those words lightly. Spectacular chip. The AI5 chip will be hopefully be in volume production around the end of next year. But that has a lot of potential. I think, you know, thinking about Dojo 3 and the AI6 inference chip, it seems like intuitively we want to try to find convergence there, where it's basically the same chip, but is used where we use say 2 of them in a car or an Optimus, and maybe a larger number on a board, like kind of 512 on a board or something like that. If you want high bandwidth communication between the chips at a force surveying, doing inference surveying. That sort of seems like intuitively the sensible way to go.
Great. The next set of questions have all actually been covered. So we'll end with how will the BBB elimination of tax credits for solar projects affect your sales pipeline for Megapack?
Yeah, our sales pipeline is quite diversified across customers and market segments. So we aren't heavily weighted in Megapack projects that are paired with solar. And as we talked about in the opening remarks, we're seeing storage quickly being recognized for its ability to unlock grid efficiency and how quickly it can be deployed to help the grid. Additionally, although the recent bill was not favorable towards solar, we believe solar projects will still get built because the energy is necessary, the projects are well developed, and they're ready for execution. And there's really no alternatives in the near term given gas turbine lead time and pricing. We also continue to see growth in the data center segment and in standalone storage projects providing capacity to the grid in several markets across the US. Overall, we're forecasting a very strong second half of the year as we increase deployments. And lastly, we continue to invest heavily in US manufacturing to mitigate policy and tariff impacts, expecting our first LFP cell manufacturing facility to be online by the end of the year and launching our third megafactory near Houston in 2026.
Great. Thank you, Mike. We will now be moving to analyst questions. The first question comes from Emmanuel Rosner at Wolfe Research. Emmanuel, please feel free to unmute yourself whenever you're ready.
Great. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Thanks. So Ilan, are you able to share any KPIs with us in terms of the robotaxi business? How many vehicles are you operating, miles driven autonomously, or the number of safety critical intervention? Just curious, how the rollout it generally is going, and any sort of like targets that you could share more broadly.
Sure.
Yeah, we have more than 7,000 miles operating in Austin area. It's just because service is new, we have a handful of vehicles right now, but then we are trying to expand the service in terms of both the area and also the number of vehicles both in Austin and other locations. So far, there's like no notable safety critical incidents. There, sometimes we have our own restrictions as to, for example, we restrict our speed limit to 40 miles per hour roads. And if the vehicle wants to go on like higher speed roads, we can stop the vehicle, but those are out of convenience opposed to safety critical nature. So for the service has been really well received, and we continue to expand on it.
Great. And then, longer term, from an economics point of view, longer term, you've previously talked about working to drive down the cost per mile on robotaxis, maybe towards 30 or 40 cents per mile over time. Now that your service is live, how should we think about the main milestones to getting there?
Yeah, well, the Cybercab which is really optimized for autonomy. That I think has got probably sub 30 cent per mile potential over time, maybe 25. It's really like if you design a car from scratch to be a cost optimized robotic taxi like Cybercab. Like for example, we're not trying to make it, corner like incredibly well like a Model 3 would, or Model S or even Model Y. Like it's got all of our cars that are driven by people are super fun to drive. They've got incredible acceleration, the incredible cornering capability. But we're confident that very few people in a Cybercab want to be hurtling around. So we reduced the top end speed, which means we can use more efficient tires. We don't need as much acceleration. We don't need as much, big brakes to sort of. We want stopping distance, but we're not expecting it to be heavily used. It's a gentle ride. Essentially, if you design it for a gentle ride, and then you have a much more optimized design point. So that's why it seems probable that we could achieve that. Especially if Optimus is, surveying, cleaning up the car and doing maintenance and stuff. Doing automatic charging. So I think it's the actual cost per mile of Cybercab will be very low. The cost per mile of our existing fleet will be higher, but still very competitive. So, maybe some number of 50 cents, I'm just guessing. So this really, Tesla's road taxi fleet will go from tiny to gigantic in terms of operations in a pretty short period of time. Like my guess is it has a material impact on our financials around the end of next year.
Great. Thank you very much. The next question comes from Adam at Morgan Stanley. Adam, please unmute yourself.
Great. Hello, everybody. So Elon, as Tesla moves into this next phase of physical AI, autonomous humanoids, robotaxis, etc., world-changing, civilizational species-changing technology with dual purpose, are you comfortable moving Tesla in this direction while only having a 13% stake in the company? Is that sustainable, or do you still insist that something needs to happen, given, you know, your current lack of control and the types of technologies you're getting into?
Yeah, that is a major concern for me, as I've mentioned in the past, and I hope that is addressed at the upcoming shareholders meeting. Yeah, it is a big deal. Like, you know, I want to find that I've got like so little control that I can easily be ousted by activist shareholders after having built, you know, this army of humanoid robots. I think that, as I've mentioned before, I think my control of a Tesla should be enough to ensure that it goes in a good direction, but not so much control that I can't be thrown out if I go crazy.
Okay, Elon, you're not going to go crazy. We trust you.
Well,
you can stay a little crazy. A little crazy is okay. Elon, though, we understand the board of directors of a major U.S. investment bank recently toured Optimus production. I don't know if you want to confirm that or not. It's just what we heard. That's cool. But when do you think others will be able to get a firsthand view of Optimus like that? And is the second half of this year too soon to have an AI day? Because it seems like everybody else in the world's doing it.
By the way, I don't think Tesla's being transparent enough with information. Especially, I'd like to see more on Robotaxi. I'd like to see more of Tesla coming out with projections of their earnings, of how they're going to scale. I think how they're going to scale is the most important, because that's going to help us realize when we will see those potential earnings. And being that they're not sharing those things with us, it's a little bit bearish, right? Like it creates a scenario where they're kind of just dragging their feet. They're not. So this is very common in the sector that I work in, which is in automation. So basically, whenever somebody has a not good update, they kind of just him haul around and bullshit about why they're behind on something, right? Instead of saying, okay, no, it's going to take us 3 weeks. We'll be done in 3 weeks. And then maybe, it'll take us 2 more weeks to do this thing, blah, blah, blah. You call out all the individual aspects of your timeline. So when you're not doing something like that, that means that your timelines are probably so far out that it's going to cause something like a stock market crash, or not stock market crash, but a stock price crash, because so many people are have so much optimism, and the stock price has so much cost built in to basically take into consideration like Robotaxi and Optimus as well. And if they transparently show us like this is how far out it is, again, it could highly likely crash the stock, because the stock price is there and people are investing with a timeline. I think they'll be doing Robotaxi in 6 months. I think they'll be doing Robotaxi in 1 year. I think they'll be doing Robotaxi in 2 years. So there's some investors that don't care if it's 2 years out, they don't care if it's 1 year out, or they don't care if it's 6 months out, right? They just don't care. But there's other ones that say, if it's going to be further than 6 months out, I got other things I want to do with my money in between, right? If it's going to be more than 1 year out, I got other things I need to do with my money in between. So, that's why part of the reason why people want the transparency, and that's the reason why Tesla's not giving the transparency.
And this talent war is getting freaking crazy. And I know you mentioned for recruiting purposes, this is a very important thing that you've done. I think people have copied you on this, and I'm wondering if this year's too early for that. Thanks, Elon.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough thing, because like when we're doing AI Day, we find that some of our competitors have literally done a frame-by-frame examination of our slides and everything we say, and then copy us. So, I'd say like, what's the trade-off? It does help with recruiting, but then competitors look very closely and copy us. That said, we should probably, I guess we could consider the shareholder meeting to be sort of we can maybe go into depth, some amount of depth at the annual shareholder meeting, with respect to Optimus and AI and sort of our chip stuff, perhaps. Yeah, Tesla's also really underrated in terms of AI chip design, as well as AI software. So, like, there's still not a chip that that exists that we would prefer to put in our car. That is an AI chip that we would prefer to put in the car over our own. And even though it's been now out for several years, and we're confident that the AI5 chip will be a profound game changer. In fact, it's so powerful that we'll have to nerf it to some degree for markets outside of the U.S. because it flows way past the export restrictions. So unless the export restrictions change, we actually will have to nerf our AI5 chip, which is kind of weird. Hopefully we keep raising the bar on export restrictions. Otherwise, it gets a bit silly. But we'll have a bunch of Optimus robots on.
By the way, going back to the AI chip thing, when they were talking about Dojo and they were talking about the hardware 5 and whatnot, and they talked about basically putting them on the same board together, which that's kind of like a telltale sign that Dojo and the AI hardware chip is doing something significantly different than one another. And I'm not saying it's exactly like this, but you can kind of think of it in the equivalent of like how you have your CPU in your computer and then you have your RAM in your computer, right? Again, it's not exactly like that because I think they're both basically kind of GPUs, but they basically have different execution. I don't want to say parameters. They execute different data more efficiently. Is the best thing to say.
On stage at the shareholder meeting. The Optimus Lab is cool to see. It basically looks like the set of Westworld. You could robots in various stages. Some of them are, in various stages of repair. Like I don't know, some combination of like the Tatooine junkyard and Westworld. That's what it looks like. It's very cool. And Optimus is walking around the office here in Palo Alto. So 24/7 is just walking around like it's normal. And we saw Optimus like the Tesla diner serving popcorn. So we'll go from a world where robots are rare to where they're so common that you don't even look up.
Great, thank you so much. The next question comes from Edison at Deutsche Bank. Edison, please unmute yourself. Edison, please go ahead and unmute yourself. Right, while Edison figures that out, we will go to the next question, which is going to come from Dan Levi at Barclays. Dan, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Great, thank you. Elon, you talked about the opportunity to put non-Tesla owned vehicles into the robotaxi network. Just talk about the gating factors to enabling that and what timeline we should expect on personally owned vehicles in the robotaxi network.
We haven't really thought hard about that. We need to make sure it works when the vehicles are fully under our control. It's kind of one step at a time here. We don't want to jump the gun. As I said, we're being paranoid about safety. So it's like, but I guess it would like next year is, I'd say confidently next year. I'm not sure when next year, but confidently next year, people would be able to add or subtract their car to the Tesla fleet.
I mean, one thing to keep in mind is that we will have some criteria, because like even when you put your car in an Uber or Lyft fleet, they go through a whole checklist process of making sure things are working.
It's like an Airbnb or
yes.
Bad,
yeah, so we will do something like that.
Kind of vetting process.
Yes. Because we want, like Elon said, we want to be paranoid about security. I mean, small things like tread on the tire can have an impact on safety. So that's why we would want to do some proper validation before we let other cars come in.
Dan, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, thank you. Could you just unpack the different costs associated with scaling the robotaxi business and how you think about funding those costs? Are the cash flows in the auto business sufficient to fund it? And if not, what other funding sources do you think you'd use? Would you just fund it off the balance sheet?
Well, as soon as there is a clear cash flow stream associated with any product, you can debt finance it.
And in the interim?
I mean, in the interim, we will use our balance sheet, but once we get to a certain scale in terms of recurring revenues, like Elon said, we could get into an easily and easiest kind of transaction to try and get funding.
Great. Thanks so much. We will now move on to Mark from Goldman Sachs. Mark, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you very much for taking the questions. With the FSD trials that Tesla has been offering to consumers and the attention on self-driving more generally, are you able to comment more specifically on what you're seeing with FSD subscription trends and take rates and help us better understand how large FSD revenue may be currently?
So we've definitely, like I mentioned it in my opening remarks, since we've launched version 12 of FSD in North America, we've definitely seen a marked improvement in the FSD adoption. And the other thing which we had also done last year is we did bring down the pricing and we've made subscription much more affordable. So we have seen, 25% increase since that time. So, which is an encouraging trend. But honestly, we've just started the story around explaining the benefits of FSD. Like I said before, we released our vehicle safety report. Even if you don't believe in this, anything else, a car on FSD being 10x safer should be a motivator. Plus, the other thing is, people don't realize even at $99 a month, it's like you're getting a personal chauffeur for almost $3.33 a day. And this is by far the biggest game changer, which I know we've been talking about it because part of it is we live and breathe it, but
yeah,
I feel like
most people still don't know.
Yeah.
The vast majority of people don't know it exists. And it's still like half of Tesla owners who could use it haven't tried it even once. They don't actually know it. Obviously, this is something we want to educate them on. So we've got to, when they come in for service, we'll reach out to them, send them like videos of how to make it work. It's such a shocking thing. They don't think a car is capable of this. So you have to show them and get them comfortable with turning it on and off. It's so trivial, but it's like saying you've got a cat that can sing and dance, but it just looks like a normal cat. And you're like, until you see the cat sing and dance and talk, you assume it's just a cat. That's Tesla FSD.
Yes.
Our car is intelligent.
And so what we're going to do, to Elon's point, we've been giving people free time to try the FSD, but we'll start giving more prompts to say, okay, this particular drive, try FSD. So that, because it's literally seeing is believing. Like Elon said, think of it like a cat. It looks like a normal cat, but this cat can sing and dance.
Yeah.
Same thing on FSD.
Great, yeah. And the 25% comment was 25% increase in the penetration rate since we've seen the release of V12 and V13 in North America. Great. Thank you. Mark, did you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, thanks, Travis. Tesla has historically said it would use pricing as one tool to help drive auto vehicle growth as long as free cash flow stayed positive, given the ability to monetize products like FSD. I'm curious how you're thinking about pricing from here as a potential tool to drive increased volumes, given where you stand with FSD, as well as the fact that the IRA purchase tax credits are poised to go away in the U.S. starting in the fourth quarter. So should we expect more meaningful price reductions given that monetization potential, or do you envision price reductions being more limited compared to cost downs given where free cash flow now stands? Thanks.
Well, we're in this like weird transition period where we will lose a lot of incentives in the U.S. We still have incentives actually in many other parts of the world, but we'll lose them in the U.S. But we'll still be at the relatively early stages of autonomy. On the other hand, autonomy is most advanced and most available from a regulatory standpoint in the U.S. So, I mean, does that mean like we could have a few rough quarters? Yeah, we probably could have a few rough quarters. I'm not saying we will, but we could. Q4, Q1, maybe Q2. But once you get to autonomy at scale in the second half of next year, certainly by the end of next year, I think I would be surprised if Tesla's economics are not very compelling.
Great. The next question is going to come from Will from Truist. Will, please feel free to unmute yourself when you're ready.
Great. Thanks so much for taking my questions. First, I'd like to ask for a little bit more detail about the lower cost model that you talked about having, I think, started production in the first half, but you said will ramp later. At the last Analyst Day, as I recall, you talked about some aspects of this, like two-thirds or three-quarters reduction in silicon carbide and not using rare earths in the motor and perhaps other cost downs. You also had this unboxed architecture that I think you said would not be part of this sort of interim approach. Can you update us on what we should expect this thing to actually look like?
Well, we won't get into the looks because
let's just go Model Y. Just lift the cat out of the bag there. Dancing cat that can sing and dance, but it can talk and sing and dance. So that's the cool part. Yeah, I mean, fundamentally, the biggest obstacle remains that people just don't have enough. Some people don't. The desire to buy the car is very high. Just people don't have enough money in the bank account to buy it. Literally, that is the issue. Not a lack of desire, but a lack of ability. So the more affordable we can make the car, the better. I think it will be a very big deal when people can release their car to the fleet and have it earn money for them, which, like I said, I feel confident in saying that'll happen next year in the U.S. at least. And in the U.S., we're legally allowed, appropriate disclaimers, and that'll make the affordability dramatically greater. Just like if you have an Airbnb and you can rent out your home when you're not there, or rent out a guest room or guest house or something like that, the affordability of your home is much greater.
Okay. Trying another topic then. We see all these wonderful developments at xAI like Grok, and obviously Tesla's trying to do quite a bit in AI. Elon, how do you manage the division of efforts and recruiting and talent and capital between these two that seem like there's a very high potential that they can in fact compete?
Well, they are doing different things here. The xAI is doing terabyte scale models and multi-terabyte scale models. Tesla's 100 times smaller models. So one's real world AI and one's kind of, artificial superintelligence type of thing. Really kind of the genesis for xAI was that there were certain people who simply would not join Tesla, AI engineers, because they wanted to work on ASI. They would join Tesla, and I was like, well, maybe they'll join a new company. Now I think the Tesla problem is extremely important, but not everyone agrees with me on that. And so, rather than have them join, OpenAI or Google or some other company, it's like might as well have them create a company in that regard, which is xAI. So that's and people can make a decision. Do they want to work on it's like super intelligence at the data center or real world AI? They're both compelling problems, but some people want to work on one and some want to work on the other.
Great. And unfortunately, that is all the time we have today. Thank you everyone so much for your questions, and we will see you next quarter.
Okay, by the way, we are on Herbert and them's channel.
The other big things was that I think they said AI5 would be too good for export, and they have to nerf it. I don't know what the term nerf means. I guess it's deprecated somehow.
Deprecated, yeah.
Yeah.
There we go, learning again.
For export restrictions. I thought that was incredible, but the way they handled the call, it sounded like a funeral. Like there's no enthusiasm, and they're dropping bombs, but there's like, yeah, the AI5 is too good for expert. I mean, holy shit! It's just incredible. And then he said, I some words to the effect of, Optimus 3 is sublime. It's incredible, you know. And again, but they say it with, I don't know.
He was
total depression. And the new master plan coming as well for Elon to explain the pre-autonomy world to the post-autonomy world. I thought that was huge. But he did say we're going to be the biggest company in the world, but it requires execution. So it tempered everything a lot. And stock is down $16 in after hours, which is shocking. But the analysts will go look at CERN's charts from a few hours ago and say, you know what, this earnings is really big, and things are on the cusp of really turning around. So I do expect it to rebound tomorrow. Brian, what do you think?
I mean, I'm really bad in short-term stocks, so let me preface that. But I have the feeling that this is just going to be one of those earnings calls that are going to be forgotten, right? I am disappointed that we didn't get more clarity. I'm also utterly disappointed about the oral skills of our CFO, but also of some others. I mean, I can't believe this. This company is moving the world.
Yeah, I'll argue with there.
Organize. It drives me crazy. This is such an easy thing to do. I mean, Nick has a bad mic, right? But Elon, where are we?
Yeah, but
I don't have a bad mic.
He's just got a hot mic. No, so yeah, I would say the CFO says the company's already rolled out all the vehicle incentives it plans to introduce in the US in Q3, and at the end of the quarter, as it gets closer, they'll start to remove some of those due to limited supply. Just make as many cars as you can, really, is my thought. I don't know how hard that is. I thought capacity is something we had. And the one bright spot to me was, and I saw a few bright spots, Robotaxi should have a meaningful impact on financials by the end of next year. That means they have to start today. That means that they're going to be ramping aggressively. That's how I'm reading that. And the fact that they're not going to release hardware 5 until mid to late next year means they plan to have unsupervised done by then, because they want to get unsupervised done on AI4 before.
They don't need AI5 for unsupervised or robotaxi.
Right. That's what I mean is, but they're not going to release AI5 until all the exact, I mean, you have to solve it first. So I think that's a bright spot. Those two things were bright spots for me.
And AI5 and Dojo, it sounds like he's going to converge them into the same thing.
Yeah, one would have 5 to 12 chips. A car will have 2. Or Optimus will have 2, and he said 5 to 12 on the board for, I guess, whatever that board is. That was interesting, but again, light on details.
Now, let me a little bit be conspiracy theorist, and I'm usually not, because I'm not, and I was really very enthusiastic going into this earnings call. But if you would be Elon, and if you are going into an earnings call that is the last one that will determine what is written in the proxy, right? The proxy is going to be out middle of September. We don't have an earnings call between now and then. And in that proxy will be your compensation plan, which will have multiple multipliers of a current stock price. Would you be in a mood to get the stock price up?
No.
Or not?
Yeah, we had the exact same conversation probably a year ago, Alexandra. And my theory back then, he wants to keep the price suppressed until he can get his comp plan in. It's no good if the price is already at 600 and he's going to try pump it to 3,000. It's better to have it at 150. That's exactly logical. We said that a year ago on this show.
Yeah, maybe
I don't like it. I don't like it. But, remember, Herbert, I was telling you I still got these 30,000 lying around. I just have this feeling that it's
stock's going to fall.
Yeah. I mean, they will have to determine what is the base stock price when they publish that proxy middle of September. And so we'll see how they do it. I may be completely wrong. And again, I don't like being in this.
When did they decide that, Alexandra?
Well, until end of July, they have to wait if shareholder proposals come in for things to vote on, right? So at one moment, we thought we have to bring forward an XAI vote. And I called out to people saying anybody has directly registered shares, because that's the easiest way to do an official shareholder proposal. What I'm always doing with my questionnaires and all that is all cute, but that's not official enough. I mean, it gives them some thing to think about and some coverage. But if you really want to do it properly, you need a shareholder that either has a very good custodian that gives you the right papers, or you have directly registered shares. So if you do have that, you can just write a shareholder proposal. It's not that easy, but with Grok now, you can do it quite easily. That will be sent before July 31st to the board, and then they have to consider it. There is a way of getting out of that question. If it is too ridiculous, they can ask the SEC to discard it. But if it's valid, they have to include it in the voting agenda for the shareholder meeting. 31st of July is that date. So before 31st of July, no proxy can be written, but it will be published anytime between September 12th and September 22nd. I did all those calculations. So they have in the middle about 6 weeks to write it. And as I explained a lot of times, when you write it, you also reach out to the Vanguards, BlackRocks, and whatsoever of this world, because since they have 7-8% each, you want to make sure that you phrase it a way that they can be agreeable. I mean, they will not tell you in advance that they are agreeable, but they will tell you, this is sort of a soft exchange of, how we can all understand each other. So there's a lot of things happening, and there are two big subjects: XAI and how this is phrased. Is it an exchange of shares? Is it really an investment against cash? What I clearly heard today is that they are very prudent with the 36 billion that are left. So I'm moving more and more away from my idea that we're putting 5 billion cash into XAI. I'm more coming
they
to
won't give cash; they'll do stock. Yeah.
Exactly. So let me just finish on my question. So they have these 6 weeks between beginning of August and when it's printed. It's probably printed before the date of record, which is September 8th, if I recall it right. So they have more or less 5 weeks there. And that's where they will have to determine what is that base stock price to which then the multipliers of the options of Elon will apply.
So what I hear you saying is if you're going to use Grok to write your shareholder proposal, don't use unhinged mode. I don't know. It does look like the idea of actually just buying or merging with XAI is off the table. As I tried to point out, I don't know that Elon would want to do it, and he confirmed that, I don't think I want shareholders being able to determine the course of this company, where at least with a small group of investors, they're easier cats to herd. And of course, we did get the news that we will have singing and dancing cats, which I'm very excited about.
Mm-hmm. Alexandra, Adam Jonas asked, as Tesla moves to physical AI, are you comfortable moving Tesla in this direction when you only have 30% stake right now? Elon's answer was, yes, it's a major concern for me. I hope that it's addressed at the upcoming shareholder meeting. That's good news. That means I think they already have a plan in place that they've already settled with the board of how he's going to get his 25% voting control.
Yes, and I said that many times before, so I'm going to keep it short because I have all these wonderful contacts thinking I've talked much too much. Please, you all come up here and talk more. for me, the easiest solution to give him more voting power, but not more shares, is to introduce Class B shares with higher voting shares. And if they do that, and if the institutionals agree, I'm sure the retail investors wouldn't mind. I hear from so many retail investors that actually want to give him all the voting rights they have. But if they find a way of putting the right multiplier there, maybe a multiplier of 2 or maximum 3, whatever, then that would be an easy way. And that is doable now in Texas. That was not doable in Delaware. So this could be the moment. I also think another point will be to start remunerating the board again. Our board has not been remunerated since 2020. So there are 3 directors who have to be reconfirmed there. This is going to be a heavy proxy, yes.
I heard good things about energy and the outlook for energy, even for the second half of this year. So that was favorable. And then getting the Houston factory up and running in 2026. But I think, again, strong hints that we should expect a strong second half for energy, which is nice. How much of that, offsets some of the other weakness in areas, I'm not sure, but that's favorable.
Well, 30% margins on billions of dollars doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
No.
And we keep seeing endless announcements for bigger and bigger battery installations around the world. These are what you would hope to see in an industry that we all thought was going to grow the way it has. And worth noting, Tesla is not the only game in battery energy storage systems. Every company makes them. It's just that so far, Tesla has maintained its position as the gold standard. They just make better systems. They are less prone to error or failure. They are more expensive, but worth it because it's about value. It doesn't matter if it's free if it ends up costing you more in the long run.
Yeah, well, as we said at the beginning, the AI data center expansion is the biggest capital investment since railroads in the 1800s. I don't know when railroads began, 1850, 1840, 1860, but it's massive. And to run a data center effectively, you need megapacks. And Elon proved that out. And that's also why he's been stockpiling transformers in Texas. Hundreds of them. So, Nick, what do you think? You've been very quiet. And your hair is looking great, by the way.
Quiet?
Well, how's my mic right now? Was it too hot?
You're shouting again.
Move it away a
still do
bit.
Dude.
It's a bit
Am I
hot.
still shouting? How's
That's
it now?
perfect.
Better.
Perfect. All right. I think it was a interesting call. I think his demeanor was a lot like last call, which I found annoying. And I think we need to be able to say it like it is. I think we're all beating around the bush. This was a very bad call for Elon. He, I think, needs to don't squint at me, Alexandra. He needs to step up to the plate. Listen, if you're going to come on here and you're going to deliver some good news, some bad news, at least understand how you're coming across. And he doesn't have to care about that at all if he doesn't want to. That's fine. But I do think there's a degree of loyalty a lot of people in the community have towards him. And I think there should be a little reciprocity back from his end. Again, maybe there's a bigger game going on here, like you think, Alexandra, but I just think that if not, just don't show up to the call. Like, you don't need to show up to the call. Like, I just don't understand this coming on there and kind of being a little pouty. But I think to your point earlier, I forget who said it, but there was a lot of really good things said on the call, like a lot of really bullish things, but everything was said pouting. So I don't get it. Like, maybe for all I know, they just got out of a bad meeting where Elon was ripping people's heads apart and, then they got right on the here. And so it's just tensions are high. That's possible. But I'm really excited more than anything based on what they said regarding the expansion in Austin. Like, that's in 2 weeks from now, week and a half now. Like, that's incredible. It sounds like they're going to make a big stamp to just laugh in the face of Waymo. So I think that's going to be exciting. I like to hear a little bit of the competitiveness that Elon, he took a shot out there in Google. I want to see more of that, Elon. So I don't know. I think in general, the call was okay. It had some good tidbits here and there, but I found it lacking. I mean, these last 2 quarters, like, they haven't been the most exciting earnings call. Q4 last year, that was a great earnings call. So
I don't agree, Nick. First of all, last
don't.
quarter was great, and we were all enthusiastic about it. I don't think anybody last quarter felt it was a bad call. I found it
I did.
this time very very depressing is not the right word. I want to use the right word, but astonishingly
Somber.
prudent in expectation setting, right? And I mean, it's not as if it was, you know, completely as bad as you said, but it was he really tried to bring down expectations.
Why?
And it was no exactly. That's the whole question. That's why I brought in my conspiracy theory earlier. I don't know why.
From my perspective, I am incredibly bullish long term. I'm a little confused short term. Like one question, for example, about personally owned cars in the robotaxi network, Elon's response was something like, "We haven't thought about that." It's like, what? He's been talking about that for years, and now you're telling us you haven't thought about it? I mean,
yeah, but on the other side, fully unsupervised by the end of the year. And I was like,
no, but
really?
those are two different points of view. Those are two different topics.
But they also said that no, they explained, right? Yes, when we implement personal cars and have to go through, you know, validation and all that. So Elon himself is basically, I'm focused on the thing that matters now, but my team is working on whether or not we're going to do this. And nothing's been delayed about personal cars being put in. It's still second half of next year, which is what they've always been communicating. So I'm not worried about that comment.
It's not that. It's the way he talked about it. Exactly.
Yeah. They're busy with the most important thing.
No,
expansion.
but you just said it in a way that's cogent and confidence inspiring. He said it as if like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Like we haven't even thought about that. It's not even on the roadmap. Kind of. That's how he said it. Like words matter, and those are the words he chose.
And there's no such thing as a conspiracy theory. He's trying to keep a lid on the price. It's
I think you're right.
That's logic. Well, you're right. We've talked about this before. It's what any of us would do. He doesn't want to see a $600, $1,000 stock until he gets this package done.
So it won't happen until November 6th. Big
Right, it
Master
won't
Plan
happen
Part
really.
4. Master Plan 4. Big show. Yeah. Votes. Wouldn't they have to communicate those votes communicated before the actual shareholder meeting so that we can all reason why we're going to vote yes?
What do you mean, which votes?
So that he's going to have the
Proxy
XAI investment and his shareholder approval for his compensation
All that will
plan.
be all that will be announced in the shareholder meeting, because you actually in America can still vote at the shareholder meeting. If you show up at the shareholder meeting, if you got an invite and haven't voted yet, you can actually vote there. So I mean, not that it makes a difference, you know, a single person voting there anymore, but they cannot announce anything. You remember last year he announced in the middle of the night before, he showed those two charts that showed that we got on taxes over that. That was done exactly, I think it was midnight 01 in Eastern time, because he knew darn well that he shouldn't have done it the day before.
No, I know, but aren't they going to tell us good news prior to the actual shareholder meeting so that you would vote yes the months before?
Are you saying in terms of an enticement to vote, share positive things with shareholders to get them to, sure.
Yeah.
Well,
once the proxy printed.
Yeah. Once the proxy's printed, everything's already settled in terms of his price of where he's at. He's already figured out the shareholder, they will also tell you what his milestones are, and that alone will make the stock skyrocket.
I will believe the conspiracy theory that Alexandra has talked about if he comes out with new bot production numbers instead
Which
of
I think he might. I think
100,000 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. I think he's sandbagging
the
those
most,
numbers.
The most disturbing for me was that 5-year 100,000 per month bot number. Everything else, okay, fair enough. Let's be approximative, whatever. But that one, I was like,
wait,
that is much lower.
Is what he said last quarter. He said 1 million by 2029, maybe 2030. That's what that is. 100,000 per month is 1 million 2030. It's the same number.
It's Yeah, that's been pushed back a little bit, I think, and also just overall, a year ago, there were so many posts on X by Elon about how they were going to scale Optimus so rapidly. And somebody posted a post where they had a 10x increase every year, and Elon said, not far off. It's like, really? I mean, what they're talking about now is very far off from that. So again, long-term bullish. I mean, long-term Tesla is going to make hundreds of millions, if not billions of these things. It's the short term that's very fuzzy at this point. And of course, I don't think that they know either at this point, because they do have to build this whole supply chain up from scratch. And if every bot has 30 actuators, you need a lot of these things. And my understanding is there's some issues there right now with the supply chain and their capacity to build them.
Yep, that special screw, Herbert, you talk about. What's that called?
Planetary roller screw.
Yeah, I can't find any of those around my place either.
I think it was one on my shoulder.
Okay.
Awesome.
Last comments, guys.
But to your question, you said earlier is, how long will we not have any good news if that conspiracy theory is right? Well, if that conspiracy theory is right, we won't have any good news until the epoxy is out mid-September.
But prior to the actual November meeting, September.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Once it's out, it's out.
Yeah. Okay.
But
if your investment horizon is shorter than a few months, don't trade in securities. If your investment horizon is out 6 months, 12 months, 10 years, this conversation is more meaningful and valuable to you. I'm not concerned with what happens in the next quarter or 2 or 8. I'm looking at my retirement, and all of these things are still very bullish to me. I would invest in another company if I saw the same kind of potential that I see here, and maybe someday I will.
Yeah, the 7 big things I got real quick. Robotaxi potential technically to serve half the US, 25 cents per mile. FSD coming to Europe, maybe not so fast, but China is imminent. Optimus will be the biggest product ever. AI5 is too good for export. Megapack solar energy, infinite demand, 31% margins, bonkers. New master plan coming is exciting. And if they execute, they'll be the biggest company in the world. Boom, that's it. 7 points.
That's it. Yep.
And they're all very good. And they were all hidden. And they were all said at a funeral. So,
and guys, if you're anywhere near the Bay Area this weekend, Friday night is the light show, Saturday is the big X takeover. There's going to be some huge names out there, some in this very chat, and raise your hand if you're going. Okay, yeah,
Brian, I was at Ronard Park Pawn Shop over the weekend.
How funny!
So
Small
close
world.
to New York. Yeah, very small.
And so, there's Sandy Monroe will be there, Lars Moravi, many others, Dr. Know-It-All. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Join us if you can.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. We had over 50,000 people watching us today in various channels. Follow the panel here. We got Alexander Mertz. We had Jeff Lutz and Larry Goldberg. We have CERN coming in late. We have Brian White from Futraza and James Invest Answers. And then, of course, we have the hot mic, Nick Gibbs. Thanks, everybody.
And don't forget the Lutz.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know. I said him. I mentioned right at the top.
Oh, yeah. Jeff is all on the top.
Awesome.
Okay. See you guys.
Thanks,
Bye,
gang. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Boom. Yeah, so overall, that earnings call really was not good at all. I am also in agreement. I think Elon is sandbagging the company. I don't know how Tesla's allowing him to do that, but I think Elon is very good at keeping control of his companies and stuff like that. So I think nobody wants to cross him. And also too, I think they want him to be part of the team. I think they need him there as a leader and as a visionary and stuff like that. But I think Elon's sandbagging the company to try to get his compensation package. So that way it just ultimately is a better outlook for him. It kind of sucks for shareholders in the short term and stuff like that. yeah, we'll just kind of stay tuned and see where things go from here. Catch y'all on the next one. Thanks for viewing, and see you around. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see other Tesla related content, any other business entrepreneurial related content. Peace, guys.